So after years of talking about doing this, it's finally here. Welcome to the Bearded Film Guy channel. I can't even begin to tell all of you where this journey began, all of the years that I spent thinking about doing this and watching other people in the YouTube community talk about movies, talk about all that stuff, and all the times that I sat down and thought, like, I could do that. And I think I could do a pretty good job. And for those who don't follow me on Instagram, considering most of you coming to this video are coming from my Instagram, I have been collecting movies for a pretty long time. It actually started with DVDs way back in the day, and then it kind of formed into Blu-rays. And then once I met Erica, who is not only my life partner, but also my collecting partner, it really blew up and expanded. And that's when I really started diving into boutique labels, collector's editions, and it kind of turned into this whole entire thing going on behind me, and also off to the side that you can't see, and off the other side that you can't see. And it's been probably about 4 years since I started that, and it's been one of the best things I've ever done in my personal life. The joy that it's brought me to sit down and to create and to talk movies constantly has been one of the best things I've ever done. And I sat down and I was like, I finally have to do this. I finally just have to come on YouTube, just do it, stop talking about it, get to it, and now it's here. And it's as shocking to me as it is to all of my friends who have been like, why didn't you do this years ago? And my answer was always, I don't know, I'm kind of a bitch when it comes to that kind of stuff. So exactly what is this channel going to be? Well, like I said, and like you can see behind me, I collect movies, I collect Blu-rays, I collect physical media, and that's what this channel is going to be. It's going to be a ton of collecting videos, out in the wild hunts, Goodwills, anywhere that I can find physical media, because you can't find it at Best Buy or Walmart anymore in this day and age. So anywhere that I can find physical media, we'll be out hunting, we'll be doing videos of that. And pretty much any time at the end of a month when there's a ton of movies in my hand and I don't know what else to do and I don't know where to put it because I'm literally out of shelving behind me, I'll just be doing haul videos. And I was kind of sitting back and kind of thinking, what better way to kick this off than with a Christmas haul? Because it's huge and it's right here off to my left. And this is a very small percentage of what's to come for the December haul. And this is gifts from family, gifts from Erica. It's actually gifts to Erica, some stuff that she's adding into the library. Books, movies, CDs, memorabilia stuff. So just going to dive right into it. Alright, so I'm going to kick this off with some pickups that I got from Erica's family. And these, for the most part, did come from a little bit of a wish list that I built of some things that I was missing. And for those of you who know me, I'm a giant Argento fan. And I don't really know how or why, but I was missing this from the collection, and I'm super excited to finally have it, and that is Suspiria. And this is really cool. This is the Synapse 4K release. And this was honestly quite a shocker to pull out, mainly because I see this slipped copy sell for huge money on Mercari, huge money on eBay, and she got it from Amazon. So I wish my luck was that good with getting slipcovers on there, but this is hands down one of the top Argento films. It's a masterclass in giallo, a masterclass in horror. If you are a cinematography geek like me, or a production design geek like me, this is a must-see. I did not consider, just a heads up, my Argento collection complete because I was missing this. And I think I was missing this because every time I watched it, it was on streaming. And when you just watch it enough times without physically putting a disc in, you kind of forget that you don't have it. So that was an awesome pickup. Or an awesome one to get out of Christmas, I mean. So next up, these two are actually from Erica's brother, Tony, and I'm really excited about these. The first one is the Warlock collection from Vestron Video. And this is number 11 in their line. This is an earlier release. And this is one that I was missing. And we've been chasing down these Vestron slip collections. I think they're on number 28 now with Silent Night, Deadly Night. And it's really cool when they do these multi-packs. We just got it with Silent Night, Deadly Night. I do have the Wishmaster collection. This is Warlock 1 through 3 split onto 2 discs. I've seen the first one. Never really dived too deep into the Armageddon and the End of Innocence, but this is going to be a triple feature one night, and I'm really excited to dive into this. Actually, the best part about this was slipping it on the shelf and seeing the Vestron, like, kind of throwback numbers, like 1 through 20, grow, because we were missing those pretty bad. And then this one was awesome, and I was missing this collection. Oddly enough, even though, as my buddy Brandon just said, this is like $7 at Walmart, and I just never bought it. But it came with a slip, and that is the Leprechaun collection. And this is obviously a fantastic first film, and the rest are complete and utter garbage, but they're a ton of fun to watch. And the cool thing about this is, when I opened this up, I actually looked at Tony, who is also a collector. It's Erica's brother. And I said to him, I'm like, a slipcover? I'm a little shocked. And his response was, he dug through eBay to find this. So I'm honored to have this. I'm honored that he was the one to get it. I actually love this more because of the slipcover. And I know it's weird to hear, but us collectors are like that sometimes. And I'm just super stoked to have this. And I'm Irish as hell, if you can't tell. Leprechaun is probably a relative of mine. So every St. Patty's Day, I'm eating potatoes, and I'm diving into this. So that's going to be a ton of fun come the holidays. And then last up for movies from family, I really want people to watch this next pickup more. So this is a film from David Robert Mitchell. If you guys don't know who that is the director of It Follows. And he kind of, under the radar, dropped the second film only a few years after It Follows, and that is Under the Silver Lake. And if you guys haven't seen this, which I'm sure most people haven't, it's a pretty cool neo-noir mystery. It's weird, it's long, it's over 2 hours long, and it's full of all of David Robert Mitchell's flair. The cinematography is excellent, the film is shot incredibly well. I really don't want to spoil this for you. It's sort of a missing person noir, and it just goes into some really weird places. But if you guys are looking for not only a continuation of David Robert Mitchell's filmography, but if you also just want to see Andrew Garfield in a role you're never going to hear about again, find Under the Silver Lake. It's not an easy one to find, which is why I didn't have it before, but I'm insanely excited to add that. Alright, a couple more gifts here that aren't movies, but are movie related that I needed to show off. And the first is a book that came out recently, I think in the last couple of months, that I've been seeing at Target. I saw it at Barnes & Noble, and I just hadn't picked it up yet, but I was happy to get it. And that is Cinema Speculation from Quentin Tarantino. And I was trying to figure out how to explain what this book is, because it's sort of a mix of everything. And actually, Brandon summed it up as Quentin Tarantino just being Quentin Tarantino. And if you've seen any podcast that he's been a part of, Joe Rogan, if you've been a part or seen anything that he's done, you can just kind of see all that happening in here. And I've read a couple chapters. I need to dive into some of the films that he talks about more in here, more into 60s, 70s, and really give this a proper go soon. And then, for as big a Jurassic Park fan as I am, I actually literally have a T-Rex tattooed on my hand. This one was kind of odd that I was missing it, and I don't really know how. But this is just the original soundtrack to Jurassic Park by John Williams. And the funny thing about this is, on the other side of the camera, I actually have a collector's case, and in there I have the soundtrack for The Lost World, Jurassic Park, and Jurassic Park 3, which I don't know who's sitting down and listening to the Jurassic Park 3 soundtrack, or has that over this in their collection, but I did. So I was really excited to finally add this. I've listened to this a million times. 9 times out of 10, you're actually going to find me listening to this in my car. And there really isn't an affordable vinyl release of this out there. They're a little bit hard to find. And so I just haven't really taken that dive yet. But I'm just really excited to finally have this. Alright, so next up is going to be a little bit of some random stuff, a couple gifts. It's actually primarily not my gifts. They're actually stuff that Erica got for Christmas that she wanted to add into the collection. Before we dive into more movie pickups that she bought me, I wanted to cover these because they're fantastic. And first up, I actually want to link, I've mentioned my buddy Brandon a couple of times. He has a YouTube channel. I'm actually going to put an annotation up here and I'll link it down below. But it's Ibruz, Ibruz. Make sure you go and check him out. We did a little kind of Christmas gift exchange today, and he got me True Believer with a young Robert Downey Jr. and James Woods. And this is really cool because this is actually the first Mill Creek Retro VHS slip that I have. He talks very highly of this movie. I haven't seen it. I've heard of it, but it is going to be in my pile to watch this week. So that's an awesome one to add to the collection. Make sure you go and subscribe to Brandon. He's one of the big reasons that I am doing this, one of the big motivators. And he's also going to be a common occurrence on the channel as we do hunts and stuff like that. So make sure you go and check him out. Don't slack on me. I'll be watching him. All right, so I'm going to dive into Erica's pickups. And these are gifts that Erica got that she's going to add into the collection. And I haven't seen any of these. And if anything is really shocking in here that I haven't seen, I know. I know. Trust me. And the first one is Night Gallery. And this is the complete series. Really funny story about this. When Erica was young, her parents showed her Night Gallery, and there is an episode in this with something called an earwig. And it's basically this little creature that climbs into your ear when you're sleeping, and it travels through your brain and does all this crazy stuff. And Erica is now almost 30 years old and sleeps with a blanket over her ears constantly. So Night Gallery is the reason for that. And I'm really excited to dive into this soon. I'm currently working on Twilight Zone, which is somewhere up here, and also Tales from the Dark Side. So this is going to be joining that as kind of a nice little TV series to throw on every now and then. And then from Scream Factory, this is a fun one, and this gets referenced so much in my life, and I don't understand the reference, except for the fact that it's a William Castle movie, which is a huge section of my film knowledge I need to dive into, and it's actually still sealed. That is The Tingler. And this is starring Vincent Price. One that I haven't checked out, and Erica references this more than anybody I've ever met in my life, and she's always like, what do you mean you've never seen The Tingler? And I'm like, what do you mean you've never just put it on? You want me to see it so bad? So we're adding The Tingler to the collection. And don't worry, I'll be watching it this week. Another really cool addition. I think I saw this in school, but I'm not too sure. And this is a recent 4K release from the Criterion Collection, and that is Citizen Kane. And this is a loaded release. There's 4 discs in here, and it does this weird kind of flip-out thing where it spells Kane on the backside, and all the discs are separated. It's kind of a little bit complicated to open up and show, so I'm not going to do that. But this is one of Erica's favorite films, and she's always upset with me that I don't remember ever seeing this. So I'm going to be diving into it this week. And here's my thing. I love Criterion releases, but I feel like diving into the bonus features is worthy of another night in its own. So I will be doing that eventually with this. But for now, I'm just going to take the shame that I've never seen this before and move on. So a couple of other awesome additions that I've never seen, and I'm a little bit ashamed to admit this one. This is Island of Lost Souls, and this is, of course, adapted from Island of Dr. Moreau. Moreau? I'll stick with Moreau. And I've never seen this. This is actually from 1932. And this is another one that she's really upset that I've never seen in full. And, yeah, it is cool it's a Criterion release, though, and I'll be checking this out soon. And then she also asks for George Clooney and his mullet with Return of the Killer Tomatoes. And I'm in the camp that says Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is the better film, but this is her Christmas list, not mine. And I'm always happy to add a new Arrow to the collection. So, Return of the Killer Tomatoes from Arrow. Alright, so now into the really big stuff. These are all of the movies and all the gifts that Erica personally got me. And I did not give her a list. And every single year, she just knocks it out of the park with gifting me incredible movies that I talk about a lot, but I don't own. Or for whatever reason, I just kind of slipped on, didn't know they were out for whatever reason. And it's kind of sad. But I want to kick that off with this right here. This is a release from Severin that I've been after for a little while, and I actually didn't directly ask for this. I was looking for this at a convention, and Erica texted me one day and she's like, "Hey, what were those movies that you saw at the Severin booth at a convention on Instagram that you weren't able to get?" And I was like, "Oh, Caligula." And that is this absolutely incredible release from Severin Films. I mean, this thing is killer. And from what I can understand, this was actually originally released in this box set, and it went out of print or went out of stock, and now it went back. And this is actually made up of 2 films, and one of those is, put this other one down, Caligula, The Untold Story, from Joe D'Amato, which, if you guys know Joe D'Amato at all, this is going to be Eurotrash in absolutely the best form. The only thing I really know about these movies, outside of the original Caligula, is that they're absolutely ridiculous and pretty much the definition of sleaze. So I was really excited to get into these. I'm still excited to watch these. You can always count on Severin to put out the good stuff. And then it also comes with a sequel / follow-up / I don't really know. And that's a film by Bruno Mattei, and that is Caligula and Mezzalina. And this is in the same vein. It's just Eurotrash. And I can't tell you that I have any expectations with either of these movies, but this is right up my alley as far as my guilty pleasures, which is the trashiest, nastiest movies to ever exist. If it is full of gore and full of weird sex stuff like this is, oddly enough, I'm game for it, and I'll watch it at least once. So I'm definitely down for that. That sounded weird, but that's okay. Speaking of weird, 976 Evil, and the weird part about this is I have never seen it. This is actually directed by Robert Englund. This is an awesome release, though, from Eureka Pictures, and it's actually my first Eureka addition to the collection. And I actually think I caught this maybe a few times over the years, and I just don't remember. The thing that stands out to me, though, on the back here is that the practical effects were actually done by Kevin Yeager, Robert Kurtzman, and Howard Berger. So give me any horror film with that type of magic behind it, and I'm all game. I can't wait to check this out soon. And, oh man, this year, it's very rare that there's a movie that comes out that I've never seen that I fall so deeply in love with. And that happened when I first saw the trailer for this movie, and I haven't watched this yet. I missed it on the theatrical run. But when I saw this was coming out through A24, I was ecstatic, and I'm still obsessed even though I've never even seen it. And that is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Look at that little guy right there. Look at that guy. Come on! A24 is just killing it with their independent releases. And honestly, at this point, it's not really worth picking up the standard release of their films. The Green Knight came out about a year ago and just now got its A24 treatment, and it is 20 times what the standard release is, if you have the shelf space for it, because they're typically huge. But this is an awesome release. I can't wait to dive into this. I will collect anything and everything Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So, hoping for a sequel with this one. And a little bit of a change of pace and a couple more gifts here. I had a ton of fun with this movie, and I really wanted to add it to the collection. And that is Free Guy. And this is just Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. All of the references in here are just fantastic. The story is It's pretty much Ready Player One with Ryan Reynolds doing his thing, which I'm perfectly fine with. And Sean Levy, as always, is a fantastic director. This is just a ton of fun. Don't take this stuff too serious. Just kind of have a blast with it and enjoy it. I'll be watching this plenty more in the future, so I'm happy to have that on 4K. And Erica really hit me in the childhood with the rest of these, because first up is Casper. And I had no idea this had a US Blu-ray release, none at all. This is my childhood summed up in a Blu-ray disc. I was absolutely obsessed with this. My favorite being the pastor that shows up, and he's smoking a cigarette. He says, "Oh, it's no problem." He walks into the house, and when he walks out, his head is completely turned around. He's still smoking a cigarette, and he doesn't think he can help them. So that's my childhood summed up. And another one from not childhood. I'm not that young, but Monster House. This has become a staple in our house around Halloween time. This is produced by Steven Spielberg and Robert Zemeckis, and this is just a ton of fun. It was really funny showing this to Erica for the first time because I was shocked that she didn't see it, and I was just so over the moon about it that 3 or 4 days later I actually watched it again, and then 3 or 4 days later I watched it again, and that was in the middle of July. So imagine come October when I throw that on 3 or 4 more times leading up to Halloween. So another really cool one that hit me in the childhood pretty hard, and I haven't seen this in a long time, but James and the Giant Peach. This was everything when I was a kid. I had this on VHS. I had the Roald Dahl? I could never say her name. I had the book for this. This movie is absolutely incredible. It's obviously produced by Tim Burton, stop motion. I can't wait to revisit that. And some of y'all are going to be shocked that I've never seen this, but Jennifer's Body. I have never seen Jennifer's Body. And I don't know why, because this is post-Transformers Megan Fox, which at that time in my life I was deeply, deeply in love with. And it must have just slipped under the radar for me. I was a little worried because I'm not the biggest Ginger Snaps fan, and this kind of seems like a loose remake of Ginger Snaps. But I heard it's a ton of fun from everybody, and I'm really excited to add it to the collection. I'll actually be checking it out at some point this week as it tumbles onto the floor. So this last movie gift here, it just means the world to me because I didn't grow up watching a ton of the John Hughes style films growing up. I didn't grow up with The Breakfast Club. I didn't grow up with Pretty in Pink. I didn't even grow up with like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I had to discover all of those later in life and obviously fall in love with them eventually. And Erica kept telling me for years about this movie directed by Joel Schumacher. She's like, you have to see it, you have to see it. And finally she showed it to me and I fell in love with this movie. I can watch this any time of day. And that is St. Elmo's Fire. And I can't really explain why I love this so much. I just fell in love with the characters. Maybe because I'm at a post-school age and I'm kind of relating to some of the issues in here outside of just the people who are being absolute pieces of shit, or people like Demi Moore who are in credit card debt up to their eyeballs. But for the most part, I can kind of relate to what everybody's doing in here. And I didn't even know this had a US Blu-ray release. So adding this to the collection, getting it as a gift from Erica who showed it to me, was incredible. Super happy to have that. So, moving on from movies, because I don't think that's enough movies to get for Christmas. There's a couple things left here, and one really huge thing that I can't wait to talk about. And these next 4 items are more gifts from Erica. She is like the gift that keeps on giving with the gifts that keep on giving. It's actually kind of crazy. And first up is this huge awesomeness here. I don't even know how to explain it. And this is The Witch screenplay from A24. And I had seen these on their website. I've seen other collectors with these, and I just never pulled the trigger on it. And The Witch is one of my favorite modern-day horror films. I actually just picked up the second sight release, which is extremely well-deserved. And everything about this makes me happy. I'm an aesthetic person. The aesthetic of this, the look of this, it just matches A24 so well. And in this is the full script, as well as production notes and photos and behind-the-scenes stuff. I mean, this thing is loaded. I can't really see myself sitting down and reading the script from front to back anytime soon, but this will look awesome on the shelf, and it'll be just an extra deep dive outside of the huge book that we already got in that second sight release. So I'm incredibly happy to have this. I don't even know where the hell to put that right now. Oh. And then a couple more books over here. First up, for those who don't know or aren't huge readers, Stephen King actually wrote under a pseudonym for a little bit of his career. and that was Richard Bachman. And this was pretty cool because most of the releases I've seen of this book are under King, and this one is actually under Bachman, and that is Thinner. And if you guys have never read Thinner or even heard of it, this is sort of low scale Stephen King. There was a great film adaptation done of this, I believe, in the late 80s, maybe even the 90s. Thinner, it's pretty much a story of a guy who goes to a gypsy and gets cursed, and over the course of the book and the movie, he becomes thinner and thinner and thinner. And in Stephen King style, it is absolutely nutty. So I'm really happy to add this. And this next one is huge to me because I've been after this for a long time. When I was a kid, my neighbor up the road gifted me this tote of Stephen King books. And I still have some of them. Like, I have my original copy of Pet Sematary somewhere. That was really my first deep dive into Stephen King, and I was obsessed to the point where the covers fell off, the spines were ruined. I would be reading a book and there'd be 4 or 5 pages just missing in the middle. And there was one book that I always wanted back, and unfortunately, just due to some things in the world, and I completely understand why, it's a little harder to come by. And that is this collection of 4 stories under the Bachman books. And this contains 4 stories that were written before Carrie, which Carrie was King's first major publication. And this features The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man, aka the famous Arnold Schwarzenegger movie from the 80s. But the first story in here is a story titled Rage, and Rage is actually the story of some very unfortunate events that go down in a school, and it actually became kind of the center blame for the Columbine shooting. So unfortunately, it's extremely hard to find. King has been vocal in saying that that was not at all his intentions. It's actually not even a story that focuses on that more than it is a study of mental health and character and such. But unfortunately, it's been banned, and the only way that you can find it is in this collection. If you can find it somewhere for a good price. Erica found this in really good condition. There's very little wear and tear on it for as old as this actually is. And I was over the moon about finding this. I'll never read the story again, but this will always be one of my most cherished books to have in a collection, considering I don't have a ton of them. And then, to wrap it up, I have a really, really, really cool gift here. And this was completely unexpected. And I have to go over and get it real quick, but this is one of my favorite things to get this Christmas. Let me show you. So the cool thing about all of the gifts that I actually got from Erica's brother is it was part of a Sacred Santa. And after getting Leprechaun and the Warlock collection, there was this little extra thing in here, and this made me really excited. And this is an image from Haunt from 2019, which, if you guys haven't seen yet, it is one of my favorite Halloween-themed slashers in a really long time. And it premiered on Shudder, and it now has a Blu-ray release from Ronin Flicks. And this is actually signed by Cheney Morrow, excuse the reflection, who played the ghost character. And he actually said that he got this in his bandbox, and instantly thought about me, because I'm very vocal about how much I love this movie, how much this movie has changed my setup of what I watch around Halloween, because I'll watch this movie 2 or 3 times. I bit all of my nails off during this, and I think more people need to talk about just how good this movie is. And this is awesome. I actually need to get a real frame for it and kind of get it out of this flimsy plastic thing. But this was super awesome to open up. And I know I said that was the last thing, but Erica found this really cool little piece of memorabilia. And I'm going to give all of you a couple of seconds to comment below what this is from, because I did this to Brandon, and he had no idea. And it's actually from one of my favorite early 2000s horror movies. So check this thing out. And it's double-sided. It's heavy. It's got a little bit of weight to it. And if you haven't figured it out yet, this is actually Arthur Criticus' key to his glass house from 13 Ghosts. And this thing is just awesome. It's hefty. It feels like a real key. And I need to buy, I think, like a nice little display thing to keep this in. I don't want to damage it up. It is colored in gold. I'm definitely afraid of scratching this up. But this was a really cool gift from Erica. And when I opened it up, she actually said to me, she's like, you know where that's from, right? And, yeah, I knew. I'm like, you can't challenge me like that. I know these things. So this was a really cool thing to get. And that's it. This Christmas was absolutely incredible. I have a lot of reorganizing to do behind me to fit all of this. And being my first video here, there's going to be a lot of changes happening kind of behind and around me. I have some new shelving coming in. Over here is kind of a little bit of a clusterfuck, for lack of a better word. There's just a lot happening that I really want to change up, that I need to improve on. But that's okay. That's what this is all about. And the thing that's most important to me is keeping the comment section full of movie talk. So do me a favor. Comment below what your favorite gift was from the Brandons and Ericas in your life, and the Tonys. Comment that down below. Let me know what it is, because I'd love to hear if it's movie related. If it's not movie related, I would absolutely love to hear that too. And also, shoot me a follow over on Instagram. It is the same name as here. It's just Bearded Film Guy. I'm always posting new pickups over there. Always talking movies over there. Having a ton of fun. And that's really it. I can't believe the first video has come and gone like this. And I hope that all of you enjoy it. I hope that everyone had a good Christmas and has a good New Year's. I can't wait to continue building myself on this platform, continuing to improve, and continuing to be inspired by the people that I already follow on this platform. So if you're on YouTube and you talk movies, or you talk video games, or you talk collecting, just know that you inspired me to do this. And yeah, that's it, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.